Honorable Men Discord. Tyrese Haliburton talks about having shingles. Let's talk about it.
How you see yourself is how you perceived. I see a man strong, gifted, head strapping, never down on his knees, begging. Gotta make a way, even in my darkest hour. Say the odds against me was new. I would never cower.
As always, welcome back to another episode. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Tell a friend to tell a friend. I drop episodes daily at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So I came across this and I did not celebrate what I heard from Tyrese Haliburton. All right. The last time I even thought about him was from that Game 7 back in 2025 against the Knicks. And although I'm not a diehard Knicks fan, anytime the New York Knicks find themselves in the playoffs and they're pushing forward, I'm rooting for them because I feel like it's long overdue for this city. And Haliburton, when we played against the Pacers, he, much like how Reggie Miller was that guy who would just spoil all the fun, all the advancement for the Knicks, Haliburton became that person for Pacers, just like Reggie Miller. And when that particular series took place last year, I'll be honest with you, I was really annoyed with Haliburton. Not because he's a bad guy, because he turns out to be a decent guy. And, his charitable work, the things that he's done off the court, it makes me salute him. But, in the spirit of competition, when he played against the Knicks, he got on my last nerves. I'm being honest. But when I came across this video, I'm not one of those people who are unable to separate the sport of basketball, the game of basketball, in real life. So when I saw this, I actually feel bad for the guy. All right. And so let's get into this video, and then I'm gonna go into the meaning and what exactly is shingles, because this is a term. This is something that I've heard of before, but I've never really understood or know how it comes about and everything that pertaining to shingles. So let me just play this video, and then I'm gonna go into speaking on shingles.
I've lost part of my eyebrow. My eye is always swollen from itching it. I have good days and bad days, but for the most part, it's bad days. So it has not been any fun. I'm still honestly dealing with it. I've been taking, unbelievable amounts of medication to try to get rid of it. It hasn't worked. It's obviously caused me to gain weight and look a little bigger, and so that's been a topic of conversation through social media and stuff. But what can you do? But yeah, no, it's not been fun, and hopefully it goes away here pretty soon. It's hard to really tell. Nerve pain, I've been having nerve pain now for 2 months, and in the world of nerve pain for people who've had that before, it's not very long. So I hope it goes away soon, but there's no way to really know. I've lost part of.
If you see the comment above me by a lady by the name of Maria, she said shingles is no joke. And I've heard that also, but being that I never met anyone with shingles, I never found it necessary to look into what exactly is shingles.
It gave some explanations.
How does one get it? All right. So here we have it, right? So shingles is a painful blistering rash caused by the reactivation of the varicella zoster virus, the same virus that causes chickenpox. It typically appears as a single stripe on one side of the body, often on the torso or face, lasting 2 to 4 weeks. It most commonly affects older adults and those with weakened immune systems. All right. Symptoms: intense pain, burning, tingling, or itching, followed by a rash or fluid-filled blisters. Other symptoms include fever, headache, and fatigue. Man. Contagion. You cannot catch shingles from someone else. However, someone with shingles can spread the virus to those who have never had chickenpox, causing them to develop chickenpox. Now, I've had chickenpox before I was a teenager, when I was much, much younger, and chickenpox was the worst. Oh man, it was the worst as far as the itching. It was the worst. I had it on my back. Those of you that's ever had chickenpox, you just want to rub up against a wall because every everything itches. It's like, for those of you that ever had to wear a cast, that itching feeling where you would, for me, when I had a cast on my hand, or my left arm, I should say, I would take a hanger, bend the hanger, and shove it down the cast so I could scratch, because it itches too much when you have a cast. It itches a lot. All right, but chickenpox is like that on another level. It's like all over. So I can only imagine what shingles is like. And they say shingles. If you haven't had chickenpox, you can get it. All right. Complications. It says the most common complication is post-therapeutic neuralgia. If I pronounce that right, neuralgia. A long-lasting nerve pain that remains after the rash heals. Ugh. Treatment and prevention. While there is no cure, antiviral drugs, and he did say that, can treat the infection, and vaccines are available to prevent it. Listen, I hope that was useful, me reading that. I mean, obviously, you can do your own research on your own about shingles. And again, sports aside, I'm not here to talk about basketball. Again, but in terms of basketball, that's the only reason why I disliked Haliburton and the Pacers, only because I wanted to see the Knicks move forward when they played them. But what he has is just a reminder to all of you watching this episode that it doesn't matter what walk of life you come from, how successful you are. When you get things like this, no medicine, he said, was working. And you would say to yourself, but how can that be? He's very successful. He has the finances that should be able to put him with the best of the best doctors, and he said he lost portion of his eyebrows. You can see it's right over his right eye. You could see that some of his eyebrows are missing, and then he's gaining the weight from the medication. It's like you would think that someone who was injured in 2025 in that Game 7 against the Knicks, he believe he tore his Achilles. You would think that would be the worst of what he would have to deal with. But here he is speaking on having shingles. It's like, what else does he need to? How much more suffering does he need to have? And I know some people might say, well, what suffering is he having? He's making millions of dollars. But listen, he's still a human being at the end of the day. He has a life outside of basketball, right? And how would this now affect his return to basketball if it's incurable? How would this affect him return to basketball? He's gained weight, and I'm pretty sure as much as he loves basketball, that's the last thing on his mind when he's itching every 5 seconds. All right. It says highlighted a painful blistering rash caused by the reactivation of the varicella zoster virus. Listen, I wish him the best. That's all I can say. I wish him the best. I only put this episode together just to bring awareness to shingles, because honestly, I've heard the term several times, especially within my occupation, but I didn't know the extent of what it exactly means to have shingles. Never was a thought. There's so many things you could contract in this life, and you never take time to necessarily research it because it's not affecting you directly. It's not, if it doesn't affect your family members, you hear of it and you just carry on with your life. But here he is, and he's in good spirits. I mean, he's not gonna necessarily be breaking out into tears, but he's struggling. He's struggling, and I hope he gets well. I hope he recovers. I hope that this comes to an end for him so he can return to playing basketball and enjoying time with his family, because I'm sure it's a miserable thing to have to deal with. This person over here, Brian Michael Dunn, says, I've had it. Do not, he put that in bold letters, do not take the vaccine. All right. Any of you watching this episode brave enough to share your story, if you've had shingles, or if you still have shingles, if you're brave enough, this is a safe space on my part. If you want to share what it's like to have shingles, just to educate the viewers on what it's like. what you do or what you're doing to maintain through it, and what you think will be next for him. What do you think he'll have to do to cope with having shingles? But listen, that's all I have on this episode. As always, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Tell a friend to tell a friend. I drop episodes daily at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And as always, stay honorable.